Have you ever noticed how some people seem to breathe chaos? They poke, prod, and provoke, not because they're looking for truth, but because they feed on your reaction. With narcissists, this is the whole game. Control. They want your emotions on a string so they can yank them at will. If you get angry, they win. If you defend every detail, they win. If you spiral, they win. And yet there's one move that short-circuits their entire strategy. A move that doesn't look dramatic, but is devastatingly effective. Calm. I'm not talking about the brittle calm that hides a storm. I'm talking about the kind of calm that comes from self-mastery. The calm of someone who knows what is and isn't under their control. Stoic calm. The ancient Stoics had a simple rule. Focus on what you can command. Your judgments, your choices, your character, and let the rest be what it is. Narcissists, on the other hand, want you distracted by everything you can't control, their moods, their accusations, their shifting stories. When you return to what is yours, your voice, your posture, your boundaries, you pull the plug on their power source. Think about the last time a narcissist tried to bait you. Maybe they raised their voice to ignite yours. Maybe they lobbed a half-truth designed to make you chase it for hours. Maybe they hovered in that gray area. I didn't say that. You're remembering it wrong. Until you questioned your own reality. Their goal is simple. Get you reactive. Because once you're reactive, you're predictable. And once you're predictable, you're controllable. But calm changes the script. Calm is unpredictable to them. Calm is a language they can't speak. Here's the paradox. Nothing humiliates a narcissist more than your refusal to be moved by their performance. Not insults, not clever comebacks. Your equanimity exposes what they won't admit. They don't control you. They never did. When you're anchored, their waves splash but don't sink the boat. When you're centered, their storm just circles, loud, dramatic, and powerless, around your steady ground. This is why the smartest response isn't revenge. It's self-possession. Revenge still uses your energy to orbit their chaos. Self-possession turns your energy back toward your life. So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 deadly calm responses. Simple, precise lines and actions that don't attack, don't explain, and don't beg. Instead, they remove the drama by removing the fuel. Each response is designed to do one thing. Disrupt the narcissist's grip without dragging you into the mud. You'll learn how to answer bait without being hooked, how to say less while saying more, and how to set a boundary that can't be twisted into an argument. Before we get there, let's make one promise to ourselves. We will not outsource our peace. You don't need their apology to be calm. You don't need their agreement to be free. Calm is not permission for abuse. It's protection from it. Calm is not weakness. It's weaponized clarity. When you're calm, you can hear the manipulation in real time. You can see the trapdoor in the conversation, and you can choose, engage the performance or exit with your integrity intact. Maybe you worry that calm makes you look passive. That's what they want you to believe. But genuine calm is active. It's deliberate. It's a choice you make every time you slow your breath instead of raising your voice. Every time you pause before you answer. Every time you replace a paragraph of explanation with one clear sentence. Calm is the discipline of a trained mind. It's the difference between a spark and a wildfire. Let's get practical. Imagine they say something outrageous at a family dinner, waiting for you to blow up so they can call you too sensitive. Your old pattern might be to defend yourself point by point. Not anymore. Calm breaks the cycle. You take a sip of water. You meet their eyes, or you don't. Your choice. And you respond with a sentence that neither escalates nor invites more spin. You keep your seat. You keep your tone. And you keep your power. That moment, quiet, unglamorous, unflinching, is the moment the dynamic shifts. Or think about texting. Narcissists love text because they can drop little bombs and walk away. The play is obvious. They want you to type novels, to plead, to prove. Calm refuses the invitation. Calm recognizes that most arguments are won by the person who doesn't have to win them. When you answer with clarity and brevity, you send a message beneath the message. My life is not a courtroom, and I'm not auditioning for your approval. You can't be humiliated by a person who won't enter the contest. Throughout these 7 responses, you'll hear a pattern. Control your controllables, release the rest. If you can't force them to be honest, you can be honest. If you can't make them speak respectfully, you can speak respectfully or stop speaking at all. If you can't make them see reality, you can keep your reality clear. That is the Stoic edge, choosing the internal position that turns external turbulence into background noise. I'll also challenge you to ask better questions of yourself, not them. Before you answer, ask, what do I want my energy to create in the next 5 minutes? What outcome aligns with my values? If a camera were on me right now, would I be proud of this response a year from today? These questions bring you back to your center. They slow you down just enough for wisdom to catch up to impulse. And when wisdom catches up, calm follows. By the end of this video, you will have 7 lines and moves you can use in real conversations, at work, at home, in texts, in person. They will not fix the narcissist. They will not make them like you, but they will do something far more powerful. They will make you unplayable. And when you are unplayable, the game ends. Not with fireworks, not with a dramatic confrontation. It ends with you walking away, at peace, with your dignity intact. If you're ready to disarm chaos without losing yourself, if you're tired of being dragged into fights that don't go anywhere, stay with me. We're about to step into a level of calm that isn't passive, isn't performative, and isn't for show. It's the kind of calm that turns the volume down on their control and turns the volume up on your life. Let's begin. Part 1. Response 1. You're entitled to your opinion. The first calm response is simple, almost disarming in how ordinary it sounds. You're entitled to your opinion. Most people underestimate this line because it isn't flashy. It doesn't score points. It doesn't win the argument. And it won't get applause at the dinner table. But that's exactly why it's powerful. It's a boundary disguised as good manners. It acknowledges their right to speak without granting them the right to manage your mind. Narcissists thrive on argument because argument is fuel. If you defend every detail, they've hooked you. If you raise your voice, they've set your pace. If you keep explaining, they keep moving the goalpost. You're entitled to your opinion breaks the loop. It says, calmly and clearly, I will not fight you on your stage. This response is rooted in a Stoic principle Marcus Aurelius repeated to himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Translation for modern life. I control my judgments. I don't control yours. When you use this line with clean energy, no sarcasm, no eye roll, you're practicing that principle in real time. You're choosing self-government over emotional government by someone else. When should you use it? Whenever they criticize, provoke, or try to invalidate you, especially when you feel the heat rising in your chest. Picture this. They say, you're so cold. You never care about anyone but yourself. Old you scrambles to prove your heart. New you breathes, softens the jaw, and answers, you're entitled to your opinion. Then you exit. Step away, change the subject, or simply go back to what you were doing. You don't linger to see their reaction. You don't throw in a but. You don't submit a 5-paragraph defense brief. The line lands. The conversation ends. Why does it work? 3 reasons. First, it denies fuel. Narcissists need you animated. Calm is the opposite of what they ordered. Your steady tone starves the drama. Second, it flips the frame. They want to put you on trial. This line politely declines the summons. Opinions are personal. You're not obligated to live inside theirs. Third, it creates psychological distance. You're no longer inside the accusation, trying to push it off you. You're beside it, looking at it. And from the side, it's much smaller. Let's get specific across contexts. At work, a colleague says, "Your approach is unrealistic." You meet their eyes, nod once. You're entitled to your opinion. Then you pivot. Here's the data behind the plan. Notice the order. Boundary first, then facts. Without the boundary, you'll get dragged into personalities. With the boundary, you return to principles. Family dinner. An uncle pokes at your choices. That's a dumb way to spend your money. You steady your breathing. You're entitled to your opinion. Then you pass the salad. You didn't escalate. You didn't surrender. You simply refused to audition. Texting. They drop a bait message. "Wow, ignoring me again." Classic. The urge is to write a novel. Don't. Reply once. You're entitled to your opinion. Then stop. Silence is part of the sentence. If they keep fishing, you don't jump in the boat. Social media. Someone throws a cheap shot. If you must respond, keep it short. You're entitled to your opinion. Then mute or move on. Your energy is not a public utility. Delivery matters. The power of this response lives in your tone and timing. Voice, calm, neutral, steady, not clipped, not condescending. Face, relaxed, no smirk, no challenge. Body, open posture, shoulders down. Pace, slow enough to signal you're not in a hurry to convince. Exit, minimal. After the line, disengage. Leave no loose threads to tug. Common pitfalls to avoid. Adding a hook. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. That last clause restarts the fight. Needing the last word. Deliver the line and let the silence do the heavy lifting. Overuse. This isn't for honest, good faith conversations. It's for manipulation, bait, and bad faith criticism. In genuine dialogue, ask questions and share your view. You might worry this sounds passive. It isn't. It's active self-possession. You are choosing not to attend an argument that was designed to make you small. You are refusing to let someone else determine what you must feel, prove, or explain. That's not passivity. That's sovereignty. There's another layer here that the Stoics would appreciate. You're practicing the discipline of assent, deciding which thoughts and judgments you grant access to your mind. When a narcissist throws a label at you, they're really offering a story about you. You're entitled to your opinion declines the story. It doesn't deny their right to tell it. It denies your duty to live by it. And yes, sometimes the other person will push harder after you use it. That's okay. Escalation is a sign the fuel supply is dwindling. If they press, "So you admit I'm right?" you can calmly repeat, "I said you're entitled to your opinion." If they push again, set a boundary on the interaction. "I'm not having this conversation," and remove yourself. Remember, calm is not permission for disrespect. It is protection from it. If the situation is abusive, prioritize safety, get support, and step away. One more question to carry with you. What outcome do I want 5 minutes from now? If the answer is peace, clarity, or progress, then this line is a bridge to that outcome. It doesn't change them. It changes your path. So, try it this week. When someone tries to bait you into explaining your worth, your choices, or your sanity, breathe, steady your gaze and say, "You're entitled to your opinion." Then walk, quietly, confidently, back to your life. That's how you become unplayable, not by being louder, but by being anchored. Next, we'll build on this foundation with a second, calm response that closes another common trap, without raising your voice and without giving away an ounce of your power. Stay with me. Part 2. Response 2. That's not going to work for me. The second calm response is short, steady, and non-negotiable. That's not going to work for me. At first glance, it sounds almost too simple. But simplicity is the point. This line is not a debate, not a negotiation, and definitely not an apology. It's a clear decision. It tells the other person where your line is without handing them a map to argue you out of it. Narcissists hate it because it cuts off the oxygen supply. Justification. When you don't explain, they can't twist your reason. When you don't apologize, they can't turn your kindness into leverage. You've said your truth and closed the door, calmly. In Stoic terms, this is the discipline of action. You are choosing what is right and within your control. Your behavior, your time, your energy. You're not trying to control their approval, their story about you, or their reaction. You act in alignment. They can react however they want. That's psychological sovereignty. When should you use it? Whenever they push last-minute demands, guilt-trip you, or try to pressure you emotionally. Notice the patterns. They drop a surprise expectation at the 11th hour. I need you to drive me across town right now. They guilt you. After all I've done for you, you won't help me with this one tiny thing. They corner you with false urgency. If you don't decide in 5 minutes, I'll assume you don't care. Old, you might rush to explain your schedule, your history, your heart. New you breathes and says, "That's not going to work for me." Period. Your tone is even. Your face is relaxed. You don't add a paragraph. You don't stack excuses. You don't invite debate. You simply remove the hook. Let's bring this to life in a few real-world scenes. Work. It's 5:12 p.m. A coworker drops a pile of tasks on your desk with a smile. "Can you get this done tonight?" You look at the pile, then meet their eyes. "That's not going to work for me." Then you offer the boundary-aligned option. "I can take the top 2 items first thing tomorrow at 9. You didn't defend. You redirected. And the conversation is now about choices, not guilt. Family. A relative tries to rope you into drama. "You're coming to talk to your sister for me tonight. You owe me." You feel the tug, guilt dressed like duty. You keep your center. "That's not going to work for me." If they push, "Wow, selfish," you don't chase the insult. You repeat once, kindly, "It still doesn't work for me." Then you change the subject or exit the call. Dating. Someone ignores your stated boundary. Say, "No unannounced drop-ins." They text, "I'm outside, let me in." Your phone buzzes. The old pattern was to explain why this boundary exists, hoping they'll approve of it. The new pattern is clean. "That's not going to work for me." If they escalate, you add consequence. "Please don't stop by unannounced. If it happens again, I won't answer the door." Calm, clear, complete. Texting. A manipulative message arrives. If you really cared, you'd do this. Your thumbs itch to defend your care. Don't. Type once, "That's not going to work for me." Then stop. Silence is part of the boundary. Narcissists will try to pull you into the courtroom. You decline the subpoena by refusing to litigate your character over text. Why does this line work so well? First, it asserts ownership of your life. You're speaking from your values and constraints, not from their demands. There's no attack to fight, no apology to exploit. Second, it removes unnecessary information. Explanations invite argument. Reasons become targets. "That's not going to work for me" is like a locked door. There's nothing to pick. Third, it shifts pressure back to where it belongs. If someone's plan depends on you abandoning your boundaries, their plan is the problem, not your boundary. Your line forces them to confront that. Delivery is everything. Keep your voice low and steady, like you could say it twice the same way. Let your shoulders drop. Allow a brief pause before and after the sentence. It signals there's nothing more to discuss. If you need a second sentence, make it directional, not defensive. "Here's what I can offer," or "If that changes, I'll let you know." And then stop. Expect pushback. In fact, plan for it. Narcissistic personalities often escalate once they realize the usual levers, guilt, urgency, shame, aren't working. Have 2 follow-ups ready. If they argue, "I'm not available for that." If they attack, "I'm not discussing this." If they continue, end the interaction. We can revisit another time and step away. Calm is not passivity. It's controlled disengagement. And if a situation moves from pressure to disrespect or abuse, your safety comes first. Activate distance, support, and consequences as needed. Common traps to avoid. Don't pad the sentence with apologies you don't owe. "I'm so sorry, I feel terrible," but that's an opening for manipulation. Don't soften the boundary into a "maybe. I don't think that's going to work for me." The question mark gives them your steering wheel. Don't over-explain. Every extra sentence becomes a new angle of attack. Don't lace it with sarcasm. Sarcasm invites counterattack. Calm invites closure. You might worry this makes you difficult. It doesn't. It makes you clear. Clarity is kindness to yourself and to everyone who deals with you. People who respect you will adjust. People who don't will expose themselves quickly, which saves you years of negotiation with someone who was never negotiating in good faith. There's also a deeper Stoic practice at work. You are saying yes to the right things by saying no to the wrong ones. Temperance is not repression, it's self-respect. Every time you say, "That's not going to work for me," you reinforce your identity. A person who chooses their path deliberately. You go to bed with fewer knots in your stomach because you didn't abandon yourself to keep false peace with someone else. Try this mental rehearsal before your next hard conversation. See yourself standing or sitting with ease. Feel your breath slow. Hear yourself say evenly, "That's not going to work for me." Then picture the exit, closing your laptop, turning back to your task, walking to the kitchen to refill your glass. The body learns boundaries by doing them. Rehearsal helps. This week, use the line once, just once, where you'd normally explain, defend, or delay. Notice the quiet strength in your chest when you don't hand over your power. Notice how the conversation changes when there's nothing to argue with. That's the point. Boundaries don't have to be loud to be final. We'll keep building these calm responses, one brick at a time, until the old games have nowhere to land. For now, memorize it, mean it, and move on. That's not going to work for me. Part 3. The power of silence. The third calm response isn't a sentence at all. It's the absence of one. Silence. In a world where people weaponize attention, silence is the ultimate disarmament. Narcissists survive on reaction. Your raised voice, your paragraph-long text, your need to explain. Attention is their fuel. When you go quiet, you don't lose the argument. You end the transaction. You remove the last tool they can still pull on. Your focus. This isn't the cold shoulder or petty revenge. This is disciplined restraint. The Stoics taught that strength isn't always in striking. Often, it's in staying still. Restraint is strength because it keeps you sovereign over your inner state. When you withhold unnecessary words, you protect your peace, you preserve your energy, and you deny the drama its oxygen. Silence becomes dominance without aggression. Here's what narcissists hear when you stop performing. Your control ends at your lips. They interpret silence as loss of control and creeping irrelevance, because if they can't make you argue, they can't make you dance. That's why they push. That's why they escalate. They'll accuse you of being immature, cold, or avoiding the conversation. Translation: your boundaries are working. Let's ground this in real life. Texting. They ghost you for days, then drop a 1 a.m. message. Miss me? Old you fires back with timelines, receipts, and a lecture about respect. New you reads it, breathes, and gives no response. You're not playing court reporter to someone else's inconsistency. No response is a complete sentence. Work. In a meeting, a colleague throws a baiting comment to put you on the defensive. You feel the rush to defend your competence. Pause. Keep your face neutral. Sip water. Let the room fill the space. If needed, you pivot to substance. Back to the metrics. Silence first, then direction. The bait floats past because you didn't bite. Family. A relative pokes at your choices in front of others, fishing for a scene. You look at your plate, take a calm breath, and let the moment pass. Silence here isn't surrender. It's refusing to audition for a role you didn't choose. Dating. You've clearly stated your boundary. No surprise drop-ins. They text, "I'm outside." Silence. Then, later, one clear boundary message. "Unannounced visits don't work for me." No debate, no TED Talk. Silence, then a single line. Why is silence so effective? 3 reasons. 1. It ends the performance economy. Manipulators trade in your attention. When you stop spending it, the market crashes. 2. It gives you time to choose. Words said in heat are expensive. Silence buys you a pause. Breath, perspective, options. 3. It communicates closure they didn't approve. Narcissists believe they control when a conversation starts and ends. Your quiet ends it on your clock. Now, there's an art to doing this well. Silence only works when it's calm, consistent, and clean. That means calm body. Relax your jaw, lower your shoulders, slow your breath. Your physiology tells your psychology, we're safe. Consistent boundary. If you decide not to respond tonight, don't respond in 10 minutes because your anxiety spiked. Hold the line. Clean intention. You're not trying to punish. You're protecting your peace and refusing to reward manipulation. Tactically, think of 3 levels of silence. Level 1, the beat. In live conversations, give yourself a 2 to 3 second pause before answering. Most bait fizzles if you don't immediately jump. Level 2. The delay. In texts or emails, institute a personal cooling window. No responding to provocative messages for 24 hours. Let urgency die before wisdom answers. Level 3. The no reply. When the message is pure provocation, or when someone who ghosted returns to yank the strings, read and don't reply. Your life is not a courtroom. You are not obligated to testify. If you need a minimal placeholder that keeps you out of the weeds, use low information acknowledgements. Noted. Understood. I'm not available. Their verbal silence. No fuel, no story, no hooks to argue with. 2 cautions, because wisdom requires nuance. First, silence is not for healthy, good faith relationships. In honest dialogue, you speak. You ask questions. You work through it. Silence is a boundary tool for manipulation, bait, and bad faith tactics. Not a way to dodge accountability or stonewall people who love you. Second, there are contexts where you must respond. Legal, safety, co-parenting logistics. Silence on manipulation, clarity on logistics. Keep those replies factual and brief. Dates, times, yes, no. No emotion, no narrative. Expect pushback. When silence appears, narcissists often escalate to regain control. Rapid-fire texts, sudden accusations, faux emergencies. Have your follow-ups ready. I'm not discussing this. We can talk when we're both calm. For logistics, email me, then return to silence. If escalation becomes harassment or crosses safety lines, prioritize protection. Block, document, seek support. Calm is not permission for disrespect. It's a boundary you enforce. How do you train this in your body? Rehearse. Picture the next bait. The snide comment. The guilt trip text. The public jab. Imagine yourself hearing it. Breathing once. Softening your face. And doing nothing. See the moment pass like a wave that didn't knock you over. The body learns what the mind repeats. Let me give you one more image to carry. Silence is not emptiness. It's a room you step into. Inside that room, your values hang on the walls. Your priorities sit on the table. You decide what conversations earn entry. Most manipulative exchanges can't come in. They don't meet the dress code. This week, pick one situation where you normally explain. Replace the explanation with a beat of silence or a delayed reply, or no reply at all. Notice how quickly the temperature drops when you stop adding firewood. Notice how your mind clears when you're not composing rebuttals at 2 a.m. That clarity, that's your life coming back to you. The power of silence is not about winning. It's about walking. Out of the loop, out of the drama, back into control of your voice and your days. When you choose not to perform, you stop being playable. And when you're unplayable, the game quietly ends. Stay with me. Next, we'll add another calm response that pairs perfectly with silence. So you can set the terms of any conversation without raising your voice or surrendering your peace. Part 4, Response 3. Let me stop you right there. The third calm response is a circuit breaker you flip before the room overheats. Let me stop you right there. It's short, steady, and strategic. You're not attacking. You're interrupting the pattern early, before the guilt trip swells, before the spin gains speed, before your nervous system gets dragged into a debate you never agreed to have. Manipulators rely on momentum. They stack half-truths, rush your timing, and layer emotion until you're responding to the heat rather than the facts. Let me stop you right there. cuts the wire to their amplifier. It says, in plain English, I'm awake, I'm aware, and I'm not a passive audience to your script. In Stoic terms, this is the discipline of assent. You decide what gets a yes inside your mind. You don't automatically grant entry to every accusation, story, or urgent demand. You pause at the door and check ID. Marcus Aurelius wrote about staying on guard at the gate of your mind. This line is that guard in action. You halt the flood of words long enough to choose your response from reason, not reflex. When is this powerful? Anytime you sense the conversation sliding off the rails, emotional manipulation, guilt dressing as love, or workplace exploitation disguised as team spirit. The earlier you use it, the cleaner it lands. Think of it as pulling the emergency brake before the train barrels downhill. Let's put it in real life. Family. A relative starts the familiar script. After everything I've done for you, the least you could do is... You feel your stomach clench. You breathe, lift your eyes, and say evenly, let me stop you right there. I'm not going to entertain guilt trips disguised as love. Then you offer the boundary or the option. If you have a clear request, say it plainly. If not, I'm ending this call. You didn't debate history. You didn't itemize receipts. You reset the terms. Work. It's 4:58 p.m. A colleague slides a quick favor onto your plate that will steal your evening. Smile, nod once, and say, let me stop you right there. That timeline isn't workable for me. Then pivot to what is. I can review the first 2 items tomorrow at 9. You interrupted the pattern of last-minute dumping and reclaimed your calendar without drama. Dating. Someone starts reframing your boundary as a flaw. If you really cared, you'd answer immediately. You stay composed. Let me stop you right there. Care isn't measured by instant replies. Then you set your standard. We can talk when the tone is respectful. You didn't justify your entire communication style. You addressed the manipulation and closed the loop. Sales service. A pushy rep steamrolls your no. You'll lose this deal forever if you don't sign now. You hold eye contact. Let me stop you right there. I don't make decisions under pressure. Then you opt out. If the offer requires rushing, it's not for me. You refuse urgency as a control tactic. Texting. A barrage of messages arrives, each more inflammatory than the last. You don't type a novel. You send one line. Let me stop you right there. I'm not discussing this over text. Email logistics only. Then you step away. Silence enforces what the sentence just declared. Why does this work? First, it breaks momentum. Manipulation needs speed and story. Your interruption slows the pace to a speed where truth can breathe. Second, it signals awareness. You name the tactic. Guilt trip, pressure, disrespect. So it can't operate in the dark. Naming is framing. Third, it reclaims the frame. Instead of defending yourself inside their narrative, you choose the topic, the tone, and the terms. That is conversational sovereignty. Delivery matters more than the words. Think calm gatekeeper, not angry referee. Voice, low and steady, no edge. Imagine you'll have to repeat it verbatim. Face, relaxed jaw, neutral expression, no eye roll. Mockery invites a fight. Body, open posture, shoulders down. One small hand gesture to signal pause. Timing, early. Don't wait until you're flooded. Interrupt as soon as you spot the pattern. Follow with a clean directive, short and specific. We can discuss this when we're both calm. State the request clearly, without blame. Stick to facts and next steps. If you continue, I'm ending this conversation. And then do exactly what you said. Boundaries are verbs, not speeches. A few variations for different contexts. Let me stop you right there. That's inaccurate. Let's stick to what was agreed. Let me stop you right there. I don't accept labels. If you have feedback, be specific. Let me stop you right there. I'm not available for last-minute changes. Let me stop you right there. We're not raising voices. We can try again later. Expect pushback. Take it as confirmation the tool is working. If they escalate, you have two simple, repeatable lines. I'm not discussing this. This conversation is over for now. If escalation becomes harassment or unsafe, prioritize protection. End the call. Leave the room. Block the number. Document as needed. Calm is not compliance with abuse. Calm is controlled disengagement. Common pitfalls to avoid. Sarcasm. Let me stop you right there, genius. Turns clarity into combat. Over-explaining. The more you explain, the more material they have to twist. Using it in good faith dialogue. In healthy conversations, you don't interrupt. You listen, clarify, and collaborate. Save this tool for bad faith tactics and boundary violations. Here's a quick mental rehearsal you can practice today. Picture the typical setup, the sigh, the loaded phrase, the you always. See yourself take one breath. Hear yourself say evenly, "Let me stop you right there." Feel your shoulders drop as you follow with one clear boundary or request. Then imagine the exit, changing the subject, returning to your task, or leaving the room. The body learns through repetition. Rehearsal makes calm available when adrenaline spikes. Underneath all of this is a Stoic commitment. Act in accordance with what is right for you, not in reaction to someone else's pressure. You are the steward of your time, your attention, your energy. Let me stop you right there is a small sentence that guards a large life. Try it once this week. Early, clean, and without apology. Notice how different the conversation feels when you set the terms before the drama sets the tone. You don't need permission to interrupt a pattern that harms your peace. You need practice. And with practice, this line becomes more than words. It becomes posture. Stay with me. Next, we'll add another calm response that pairs perfectly with this interruption. So you can not only stop a bad pattern, but steer the conversation toward clarity and choice without raising your voice or surrendering your ground. Part 5. Revisiting You're Entitled to Your Opinion. Let's come back to one of the quietest power moves you'll ever make. You're entitled to your opinion. We've used it once already, but repetition is how you train the nervous system. The point of this line isn't to win, it's to opt out, to refuse unpaid emotional labor, to detach from performance, and to remind your subconscious of a truth it keeps forgetting. Your peace is not on trial. What is emotional labor in this context? It's the invisible work of managing another person's feelings, smoothing their reactions, and carrying their story about you as if it were your responsibility to fix. Narcissists are experts at assigning that job to you. They toss you a label, selfish, cold, ungrateful, and wait for you to audition for your own worth. This single sentence ends the audition. It acknowledges their right to have a perspective while declining the burden of rehabilitating it. A quick reminder on delivery, because delivery is the whole game. No sarcasm, no smirk. Sarcasm sounds like fuel. No explanations. Explanations invite cross-examination. Steady, calm. Shoulders down, jaw soft, voice even. Now let me tell you a story. A woman I'll call Maya had an ex who could find her buttons with GPS precision. After months of no contact, he sent a late-night message that turned into a phone call. Within minutes, he was back to the script. "You're so cold. No one could ever really love you." In the past, that sentence would have detonated her evening. Tears, long explanations, a desperate tour through old text threads to prove she had cared. This time she paused. She felt her spine against the chair. She breathed once and said evenly, "You're entitled to your opinion." Then she ended the call. She told me the silence after that was loud, but it was the good kind of loud. It was the sound of a cord unplugged. The next morning, she noticed something subtle. Her first thought wasn't, "How do I get him to understand?" It was, "What do I want to do with my morning?" That was the win. Not the last word. Not his approval. Ownership of her day. Of course, he tried again. Baiting text. Guilt-edged apology. Even the classic, "So, you admit I'm right?" She repeated, "You're entitled to your opinion," and added nothing. Each neutral repetition taught her body a new lesson. I can let someone be wrong about me without rushing to fix it. Within a week, her sleep returned. Within a month, the hook was gone. She hadn't won him over. She had won herself back. Here's why this sentence is more than a polite brush-off. It trains detachment. You stop sprinting after a narrative you never authored. It cuts the labor. You no longer work overtime to regulate someone else's emotions. It re-educates your subconscious. Each calm use of the line is a signal. My peace is not a defendant in your courtroom. Let's place it in a few everyday scenes so you can feel the fit. At work, a colleague says, "Your approach is unrealistic." Old you defends the entire plan. New you. You're entitled to your opinion. Then, if the conversation is good faith, you pivot to facts. Here are the numbers we're working with. Boundary first, data second, family. After all I've done, the least you could do, you breathe. You're entitled to your opinion. If the guilt continues, you follow with a clean boundary. I'm not available for guilt-based conversations. No history debate. No ledger reading. Texting. "Wow, you didn't respond in 5 minutes. Guess you don't care." You type once. You're entitled to your opinion. Then you put the phone down. Silence is part of the sentence. Dating. They try to make your boundary a character flaw. If you love me, you'd share your passwords. You stay steady. You're entitled to your opinion. If needed, add clarity. My boundaries aren't up for vote. A few upgrades and guardrails. 1. Pair it with silence. The sentence is the door closing. Silence is the lock. If you toss in a but, you've cracked the door. 2. Use it for bad faith tactics, not for healthy dialogue. In good faith conversations, you listen and collaborate. 3. If safety, legal, or co-parenting logistics are involved, respond with brief facts. Save "you're entitled" for the jabs, not the calendar. 4. Expect escalation. When fuel runs low, manipulators knock louder. Treat the escalation as proof the boundary is working. Repeat once, then exit. If you struggle to keep your tone clean, try this micro-ritual. Breath. In through the nose, 4 counts. Out through the mouth, 6 counts. Posture. Sit back 1 inch. Unhook your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Phrase. You're entitled to your opinion. Exit. A short pause, then either change the subject or physically step away. Common pitfalls to avoid. The add-on. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong. That last clause reopens court. The apology. I'm sorry you feel that way. This sounds compassionate, but it's often a baited hook. The performance, delivering it with ice or superiority, that's still performing for their reaction. If you want a helpful reframe, borrow this Stoic lens. Other people's judgments are events, not commandments. They happen outside your skin. Your power lives inside. Your perceptions, your choices, your actions. When you say, you're entitled to your opinion, you are practicing that philosophy out loud. You acknowledge the weather. You choose your coat. One last exercise to anchor this in your body. Visualize the next likely jab, the familiar phrasing, the familiar tone. See yourself hearing it, softening your face, and saying calmly, you're entitled to your opinion. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice the urge to add explanations, and let it pass. Watch yourself return to your task without rereading the conversation in your head. That quiet you feel, that's sovereignty. Use the line once this week, just once. Notice what shifts. Maybe they push harder for a day. Maybe they retreat. Either way, your nervous system learns the lesson you're sending. My piece is not a debate topic. We're building a toolkit, brick by brick, calm phrases that cost you almost nothing and buy you your life back. Keep this one close. When someone tries to turn your worth into a group project, you don't have to grade papers. You can breathe, stay steady, and say, you're entitled to your opinion. Then walk, quietly, confidently, back to the things that matter. Part 6. Response. 4. If that's how you feel, I respect it. The fourth, calm response sounds gentle, but it carries steel. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Read it again, slowly. You're not agreeing. You're not apologizing. You're not submitting your worth for review. You are acknowledging their feeling and refusing the invitation to perform emotional labor on command. It's strategic detachment. No defensiveness, no drama, no wrestling match over whose version wins. You honor their right to feel. You keep your right to choose. In Stoic terms, this is the discipline of control. You don't control another person's interpretations, moods, or narratives about you. You control your judgments, your choices, your actions. If that's how you feel, I respect it, makes that philosophy audible. It says, I'll meet you at the level of reality I can influence, my response, not at the level I can't, your emotions. When should you use it? When guilt trips start posing as love. When blame gets projected onto you like a movie screen. When a conversation turns into an emotional power grab. The line creates space. Space for you to stay calm. And space for the other person to own their feelings without outsourcing the fix to you. Space ends escalation. Let's bring it into real life. Family. A parent sighs, I guess I'm just not important to you anymore. Old you rushes in. A half-hour speech, a calendar audit, a plea for understanding. New you breathes, softens your jaw, and says, if that's how you feel, I respect it. Then you add a clear boundary or option. I'm available Sunday from 3 to 5. If that works, great. If not, we can try next week. You acknowledge the feeling. You didn't swallow the guilt. And you move to a concrete choice. Work. A colleague misses a deadline and says, you set me up to fail. The old pattern is to defend your character. Not anymore. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Then you pivot to facts and next steps. Here's what we agreed to on Monday. What can you commit to by Thursday at noon? You didn't litigate motives. You redirected to accountability. Dating. You set a healthy boundary. No unannounced visits, no checking your phone, and they fire back. If you really loved me, you wouldn't need boundaries. You stay composed. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Then, calmly, my boundaries aren't up for vote. That's it. No TED Talk. No biography of your past. You keep your peace and your standard. Co-parenting and ex-texts. You're trying to alienate the kids from me. Heat rises. You exhale. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Then you stick to logistics only. Pickup remains 5 p.m. at the usual spot. Refuse the swirl. Deliver the facts. Social media. Someone lobs a cheap label. You're clearly heartless. If you must answer it all, a single line. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Then mute and move on. You didn't feed the algorithm with your nervous system. Why does this sentence work? First, it acknowledges reality without endorsing it. Feelings are real. Interpretations aren't always accurate. You validate the experience while declining the story. Second, it blocks the hook of defensiveness. The moment you start explaining your goodness, the frame is set. Your goodness is on trial. This line refuses the trial. Third, it reinforces that your worth is self-defined. If someone needs you to scramble for approval to feel powerful, your refusal removes their leverage. Delivery matters. Think quiet firmness, not icy dismissal. Voice, low, steady, unhurried. Face, relaxed. No smirk, no eye roll. Respect, not ridicule. Body, open posture. One small nod can signal acknowledgement without surrender. Exit, a brief pause, then either a boundary, a factual next step, or silence. A few clean follow-ups you can pair with it. I'm not available for guilt-based conversations. We can talk when the tone is respectful. If you have a specific request, ask it plainly. For logistics, please email. And if they escalate, because sometimes they will, you can repeat once. I hear you. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Then disengage. Calm isn't submission. It's controlled exit. Common pitfalls to avoid. Don't add a but. If that's how you feel, I respect it, but resets the fight. The clause after but becomes the new battleground. Let the period do the work. Don't lace it with sarcasm. If that's how you feel, invites a counterattack. Respect is the shield here. Don't use it to stonewall good faith partners. In healthy relationships, you engage. You ask, help me understand. This tool is for manipulation, projection, and pressure, not for avoiding accountability. Don't over-explain afterward. Silence is part of the boundary. Here's a short story to anchor the feeling. A client, we'll call him Theo, kept getting baited by a co-worker who implied he was lazy for leaving on time to pick up his daughter. Every defense made it worse. One Tuesday, the co-worker tried again. Must be nice not to care about the team. Theo felt the surge, breathed once, and said, if that's how you feel, I respect it. Then he turned to his screen and sent the end-of-day status email he'd already prepared. The co-worker huffed, then went quiet. The next week, the comments stopped. Not because Theo converted him, because Theo stopped being playable. He respected a feeling he didn't share and refused to donate his peace to someone else's control habit. Practice helps. Try this micro-ritual. 1. Breathe in for 4, out for 6. Lower your shoulders. 2. Say, aloud if you can, if that's how you feel, I respect it. 3. Add one of three endings depending on context. Boundary. I'm not discussing this. Option. Here's what I can do. Logistics. Pickup is at 5. 4. Stop talking. Let silence hold the line. 2 helpful questions to keep in your pocket. What outcome do I want 5 minutes from now? And, is this within my control? If your answer is peace, clarity, or progress, and the situation is heavy with accusation, this sentence is your bridge. Use it once this week where you'd usually explain or defend. Notice the space it creates. Notice how quickly the temperature drops when you don't put your worth on the witness stand. That space is your life returning to you. This is not about being indifferent. It's about being anchored. You can respect another person's feelings without renting them your mind. And when you live that way, you don't have to win the argument to win your day. You take your energy back, you choose your next step, and you keep walking, calm, clear, and sovereign. Part 7. Response. 5. That's not going to work this time. The 5th calm response marks a turning point. It sounds familiar, but it carries something new. Growth. That's not going to work this time. Read that again. You're not attacking. You're not explaining. You're acknowledging a pattern and announcing that the pattern has ended. This line tells the other person, I recognize the tactic you've used before, and I've evolved past it. Narcissists rely on repetition. The same gaslighting, the same guilt trip, the same victim routine, the same love bombing right after a blow-up. Your life changes when the script stops working. This sentence is how you flip the switch. From a Stoic angle, this is freedom in action. You can't control their moods, their version of events, or the pressure they apply. You can control your assent, what you allow into your mind, and your action, what you do next. That's not going to work this time. Embodies both. It declines old manipulation without fanfare. Then it moves you toward choices that align with your values. Where does it shine? Anytime you catch a recycled tactic. Gaslighting. I never said that. You're imagining things. Guilt tripping. After everything I've done, you can't do one tiny favor. Victim playing. Everyone's against me. You're just like the rest. Love bombing. Grand promises, sudden gifts, intense praise after bad behavior. Hoping you'll forget the pattern. Let's put it into real life. Clean and practical. Gaslighting at work. A teammate insists, we didn't agree on that deadline. Your heart rate ticks up. You breathe and say evenly, that's not going to work this time. We confirmed the Thursday deadline in Monday's email. Then you pivot to action. I'll resend the thread now. What can you deliver by noon? You didn't argue about memory. You anchored to facts and moved forward. Family guilt trip. A relative says, if you really cared, you'd cancel your plans and help me tonight. Old you explains your calendar, your commitment, your love. New you. That's not going to work this time. Short pause. I'm available Sunday between 3 and 5. If that works, great. If not, I can't help this week. You replaced pressure with a clear option. The conversation now has boundaries, not blame. Victim playing in a relationship. You're abandoning me, just like everyone else. After you set a healthy limit, you stay centered. That's not going to work this time. Then you add the standard. We can talk when the tone is respectful and when boundaries are honored. No lecture, no diagnosis. Just a door that opens only for healthy behavior. Love bombing after harm. An ex shows up with flowers and a speech. I've changed overnight. In the past, the intensity swept you in. Now you breathe and say, "That's not going to work this time." Then you state your criteria. Real change shows up consistently over time. I'm not re-entering this dynamic. Calm, not cruel. Final, not dramatic. Why does this sentence work so well? First, it names the cycle without getting stuck in it. You don't have to catalog every past incident to justify your boundary. The phrase itself communicates, "I see it. I'm done." Second, it breaks intermittent reinforcement, the slot machine effect that keeps people hooked through occasional rewards. Love bombing, sudden apologies, or brief kindness used to pull you back. Not anymore. The reward no longer works. Third, it reframes your worth. You're not trying to be believed. You're choosing to be anchored. Your value is no longer negotiable in their courtroom. Delivery is the difference between escalation and closure. Aim for quiet certainty. Voice, low, steady, unhurried. Face, relaxed, no smirk, no glare. This is about your standard, not their shame. Body, grounded posture. A small headshake can signal finality without aggression. Pace, give the line a period. Let silence hold the boundary. Follow with one, and only one, directional sentence, depending on context. Boundary. I'm not discussing this. Option. Here's what does work for me. Logistics. Email me the proposal by noon. I'll review tomorrow. Consequence. If the name calling continues, I'm ending the conversation. Then stop. Every extra word becomes new material to twist. A short story to anchor the feel. Jordan had a co-worker who forgot agreements and then spun a narrative that Jordan was rigid. For months, Jordan defended himself, combing through emails to prove he wasn't the problem. One afternoon, the co-worker tried the usual. "We never agreed on Friday," Jordan breathed once. "That's not going to work this time." Pause. "We confirmed it on Tuesday, resending now." He turned to his computer and sent the thread. No edge, no speech. The co-worker grumbled, delivered late, and, importantly, stopped using that tactic. Jordan didn't win an argument. He ended a pattern. A few guardrails, so this tool stays clean. Don't add because. Explanations invite court. "That's not going to work this time," is the locked door. Don't lace it with sarcasm. It turns clarity into combat. Don't use it to stonewall good faith people. In healthy conversations, you listen and collaborate. Save this for manipulation, pressure, or repeated boundary violations. Do separate feelings from behavior. You can say, "I respect how you feel," and still add, "That approach won't work this time." Pair it with a micro-ritual to keep your nervous system steady. 1. Name the tactic silently. Gaslighting, guilt trip. Love bomb. Naming shrinks it. 2. Breathe in for 4, out for 6. Drop your shoulders. 3. Deliver. That's not going to work this time. 4. Add one short directive. Boundary, option, logistics, consequence. 5. Exit. Change the subject, return to the task, or end the interaction. 2 questions to keep in your pocket. What pattern am I breaking right now? And what outcome do I want in the next 5 minutes? If the answer is peace, clarity, or progress, this line is your bridge. And remember the Stoic heart of it all. Freedom comes from disregarding what you can't control and mastering what you can. Your judgments, your choices, your actions. You can't stop someone from recycling old tactics. You can stop those tactics from working on you. When you say, That's not going to work this time. You're not just closing a chapter with them. You're opening a new one with yourself. Use it once this week. Notice the silence that follows, the kind that feels like space. That space is your life, expanding into the room their patterns used to fill. Let's end exactly where real power begins, with calm choices that don't just end an argument, they end a cycle. The phrases you learned in this video look small on paper, almost too simple for the chaos they're meant to face. But that's their genius. They don't meet drama with more drama. They meet it with clarity, restraint, and quiet authority. Each line is a door you can close, cleanly, without slamming, on tactics that used to hijack your peace. Think about the patterns that once owned your time. The baiting text that pulled you into a midnight debate, the guilt-soaked monologue that turned your weekend into repair duty, the sudden love bombing after a blow-up that reset the whole story. The old game demanded that you prove, explain, justify, and soothe. The new game is different. You don't have to prove you're good to be good. You don't have to win the narrative to win your day. The real victory isn't getting them to admit you're right. It's becoming someone who cannot be manipulated. That's what these responses are for, not to make them better, to make you unplayable. Let's trace the arc. You're entitled to your opinion, acknowledges their right to feel while declining unpaid emotional labor. That's not going to work for me. Sets a non-negotiable boundary without apology or explanation. Silence, the absence of fuel, removes attention, their last lever. Let me stop you right there, interrupts manipulation before it gathers speed. If that's how you feel, I respect it. Accepts a feeling without endorsing the story or entering the courtroom. And that's not going to work this time, tells the past. It no longer decides your future. Each line is a declaration of self-respect, a vote for peace over chaos, a reminder that your worth isn't up for cross-examination. Underneath all of it is a simple Stoic promise. I will react only to what is within my control. I can't control your moods, your memory, or your spin, but I can master my breath, my posture, my words, and my exit. When you live by that promise, silence becomes a strategy, not a punishment. Boundaries become acts of care, not warfare. Emotional intelligence becomes a shield that doesn't bruise anyone, least of all you. This is what untouchable actually looks like. Not hard and closed, but calm and clear. Picture a normal day with these tools in your pocket. A coworker implies you're unhelpful for leaving on time. You meet their eyes. You're entitled to your opinion. Then you send the status update you prepared. A family member revs up the old ledger of favors. You breathe. Let me stop you right there. If you have a clear request, ask it plainly. A partner frames your boundary as a character flaw. If that's how you feel, I respect it. My boundaries aren't up for vote. Later, the late-night text arrives, fishing for a scene. You read it and do nothing. No performance, no rebuttal, no adrenaline hangover. You sleep. The next morning belongs to you. Here's a micro ritual to carry forward. 5 steps, 30 seconds, huge payoff. Pause. Give yourself a 2-second beat before you answer. Breathe. In for 4, out for 6. Let your shoulders drop. Name. Quietly label the tactic. Guilt trip. Gaslighting. Urgency. Naming shrinks it. Choose. Pick the right tool. One line, or silence, or a clean exit. Exit. After you speak, stop. Let silence hold the boundary, or physically step away. Will some people escalate when the old levers stop working? Of course. Expect pushback. Take it as proof that the fuel source is running low. Repeat your line once, if needed, calmly, verbatim, and end the interaction. If the situation crosses into disrespect or unsafe territory, prioritize protection. Document, block, involve support, leave. Calm is not compliance with abuse. Calm is controlled disengagement. And a word on nuance. These tools are for bad faith tactics, not for healthy relationships. In good faith conversations, you listen, clarify, and collaborate. You ask, help me understand. You share your side with respect and curiosity. The goal isn't to go silent on the people who love you, it's to stop performing for the people who try to control you. Boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They are doors you control, with a lock and a handle on your side. If a part of you still worries that calm makes you cold, let me offer a reframe. You aren't cold. You're clear. You aren't distant. You're discerning. You aren't difficult. You're defined. The world will tell you that the loudest person is the strongest. It's not true. Strength is the person who can hear a provocation and choose a response that serves their values, not their adrenaline. Strength is the quiet refusal to trade integrity for approval. Strength is the steady no that protects your yes for what matters most. So here's your next move. Pick one situation this week, just one, where you usually explain, defend, or repair. Replace the habit with a calm line or with silence. Notice the space it creates. Notice the time you get back. Notice how your nervous system thanks you when you stop donating it to someone else's chaos. That space is not empty. It's full of your life, work you care about, people who show up cleanly, rest that actually restores you. We'll close with the same invitation. I hope you carry into every room. Stay calm, stay grounded, and let your quiet confidence speak louder than confrontation. Your peace is not a bargaining chip. Your boundaries are not a debate topic. Your attention is not a public utility. When you live like that, when silence, boundaries, and emotional intelligence become your default, you become the kind of person chaos cannot grip. The game doesn't end with fireworks or a speech. It ends with you choosing what you can control and walking steadily back to your life. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, if you felt the quiet power of walking away, if you're learning to protect your peace and grow in silence, then don't walk this journey alone. Subscribe now and join a community built on strength, clarity, and calm. A place where we don't chase noise, we build resilience. Every week we dive deeper into Stoic wisdom, emotional mastery, and the quiet truths that change lives. Tap that subscribe button, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Your story might help someone else find their peace too. And if this resonated with you, give it a like. It tells the algorithm this kind of healing content matters. Remember, your silence is not emptiness. It's a statement, and the world is finally listening.